How's it, everyone? Hope you're having an incredible day. Welcome to How's It Cousins, the podcast where we talk about the unique people of the world. We take a look and we try to relate to them. Hopefully, we get you to relate to them as well so you can kind of see what we're going through, what we're experiencing here. On today's episode, I want to do a throwback to episode 1, where Jessica Negri, as we saw, liked to dress up and display herself through her various costumes and personas. We're going to be looking at another somewhat subculture of society to where people actually don't just dress up for fun or for Halloween or a special occasion, to where their costumes and personas are actually part of their personality and who they outwardly portray. One of whom, quite famous among many video game communities, especially the fighting game community, and I am referring to none other than Dominique SonicFox McLean.
How's it, Chris? Are you talking about SonicFox? Yo, I'm down to talk about SonicFox. Let's do this.
Aloha, Alvin. Thanks for popping into the SonicFox show.
Yeah, man, I'm always down to talk to you. It's always fun. Let's do it.
All right, but before we get into it, I want to remind everyone that we are part of the How's It Network. If you want to hear more of this show, you can find us on all the popular podcast services. If you want to see more of what we're doing, you can check us out, howsitnetwork.com. Once again, follow us on social media at How's It Network. Alvin, anything you got to plug?
Yes, my name is Aloha Alvin, and you can find more at alohalvin.com.
All right, fantastic. So, SonicFox that's Dominique McLean. SonicFox is his code name, or what we'd call a gamer tag. He's been known to be a very flashy type gamer. He plays fighting games. For those that don't know, those are 2D. I think he actually plays Soul Calibur or 3D fighters too. But anyway, he plays.
I've seen him do well in DOA. I've seen him do well.
Okay, so he plays both 2D and 3D fighting games.
Yes.
To where, for those out there that don't know, it's like a one person against another person. They control characters. They, punch, kick, fireball each other. Take with what you will. SonicFox also, as he's playing these fighting games, he plays them while wearing, I guess you could call it a costume. At first, what it was were a set of blue fox ears on like a hat.
Yes.
To where there are two things that kind of came down the side of his face that would go all the way to his hands, like paws. And yes. And I think he had knee pads back then too, when he was first, becoming more popular.
I think so.
So it seemed like just a cute hat, a cute hat that he wore. So to the uninitiated, he was just a dude who would do really well at fighting games, who wore this cool blue furry hat with little hands that came off of it. What do you call that thing? There's a thing out there, right? For the hat there are hats that have that now. I forget what it's called.
I get you. I don't know what that's called either, but I have seen that.
Someone in the comments just hit me up with what that hat's called. But he used to wear it, and it was a blue fox-eared hat thing with the paws. And it would be a gimmick if he just did that on camera. But not only did he wear this, what we would call a costume, he destroyed people while doing so. I believe Mortal Kombat and Injustice were his big games back in that time. Prominently Mortal Kombat and Injustice when he was first starting.
I think it got to the point where you just expect him to top 8 or better.
Or
when
win
he was
out.
Winning,
Yeah, exactly.
Just straight up win. Yeah.
So for those that
very well.
Exactly. So for those that don't know or are new to it, fighting games and esports have been like, fighting games were like one of the original esports, right? Evo, the Evolution tournament, which is commonly known as Evo, dates back a number of years and definitely comes before what you'd see now with games like Overwatch or like League of Legends or Dota 2. Fighting games were one of the original popularized televised, well, maybe not mainstream television, but, broadcasted esports. So there's a huge history on that. SonicFox is actually relatively new. I would say maybe within the last 3 to 5 years or so has been his big showcase into the fighting game community, but he's hit it real hard. The crazy thing is when he got signed professionally, I'm pretty sure he was only like 16, 15 or 16, super young, but immediately made an impact. Even
I don't
more.
know.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't know the age, but I know he was crazy ass young. So that's a good point. Yeah, I don't know the age.
Pretty sure he's only 20 or 21 now. Like right now he's still in college, trying to balance like a college lifestyle. I think he's a computer science major or something like that.
Well, that's cool.
Trying to balance that while still streaming, practicing, playing competitively, going to tournaments and all that stuff that a professional fighting game player does.
Yes, yes.
The crazier part, in addition to that, is that from the point where he began becoming a big thing, winning tournaments, being big, his what we thought was a blue furry hat costume has evolved into an entire fox suit. Like now he wears a full-on mask. Like
yes.
As if, one could compare it to like a Disneyland character or something like that, to where the entire mask that covers your whole head thing. And he's got like the foot pad covers, the knee covers, the arm covers, that kind of thing. It's not a full body suit because the head comes off as a piece and some of the other pieces come off, but it's definitely an entire getup to where it's a costume per se. But okay, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say definitely. I remember the first time it was weird because, okay, so here's the joke about cons, and what they say is, hey man, normal people go to cons like conventions for like San Diego Comic Con, that kind of con. Yeah, normal people go to those, and I'm like, yeah, I guess. I don't know why you're saying that to me. And the complaint was, if you watch the news and they cover a con, forget it. Guarantee there's gonna be some weirdo dressed up in a weird way, quote unquote weirdo. And that's always what makes the news. Always. Not the normal people, quote unquote, again, normal people, nor the comic book sellers or the artists or the speakers. It's always the person dressed up that makes the news. Anyway, the reason why I mentioned that is that's how I first saw SonicFox. I don't even know if he was winning, but they had photos of the competitors, and I guess there were all people wearing normal clothes, and then there was SonicFox wearing face mask or blue ears.
Exactly.
So yes, he always stood up. Yes.
Of course. But again, you notice him first for that. But by the way, he was also winning and destroying.
True. Yes, that is true. That is true.
The more interesting thing about that, even though I said the first part's interesting, the fact that it has evolved into an entire head mask thing, which sometimes he plays with it on, which is also incredible.
See, I didn't know that. I was going to ask you that. Okay,
no, like sometimes he takes it off, but sometimes he plays with it on, like the head.
Yeah.
Crazy, awesome. But
that's cool.
One would think just by, if you didn't know, you just looked at it, you think he's doing it for attention. You think he's doing it, for the press and the media. But actually, he himself identifies with what's called furry culture. So some call it a fandom. Some call it, a self-identification. Just like your own. I don't want to compare it to like gender identification, because it's not that, but it's part of yourself, to where you yourself consider yourself what they call a furry. And by furry, it's the fascination with anthropomorphic animals that display human type characteristics. Basically, that's kind of, I think, the quick and dirty way to describe it. So there are those out there that would say it's an obsession, but SonicFox himself considers it part of his whole persona. Like his furry character is part of him. It's just a side of him. And it's really interesting to see, because there are many people out there to where that associate with that they also feel that same way about, they have an anthropomorphic animal persona. So it's incredible to see for them that SonicFox, representing them on hugely popular mainstream fighting game stage, he's famous in the community. So it's inspiring. He tells many stories about people almost like not coming out, but contacting him and be like, hey, like you just make me feel so much better about
Nice,
about me
nice.
being a furry. Like, I was embarrassed about this, but seeing you do it in public and seeing people accept you for it, like that just helped me so much. And it's crazy to see that type of reaction. Furry culture, I don't pretend to know a lot about it. I don't, but I would go as far as to say as it's not that mainstream. It's not like you turn on CNN news and you see stories about furries.
Right, right, right.
Even
Okay.
on top of that, I'm gonna read directly from Sonic Fox's Twitter. So for those of you who are curious, this is twitter.com/SonicFox5000, which is his Twitter handle. And his Twitter profile reads, I am a black queer furry who will mix your shit in fighting games. Sup. His pinned tweet says, I'm gay. Also the best DBFZ player on this fucking planet. Don't forget it. DBFZ meaning Dragon Ball Fighters, which is a recently published game that has Dragon Ball Z characters as the fighting contestants. Also, Sonic Fox, arguably number one in the world at that game. One or two. He's won many tournaments in Dragon Ball Fighters.
Okay. So I want to talk about hyping. So there's some hyping that when it happens, either one, I don't like it, or two, it's not believable. So I want to share with you some hyping that I absolutely loved. Okay. I don't remember where this was, but I believe it was in Japan. Somewhere in Japan, there's announcers that are talking about something. Could have been Street Fighter, could have been anything. So they're talking, the fighting game guys are nearby. That's just one of those things. They're having a moment, maybe an interview. And then I believe it was Goichi. And Goichi is, at the time, he was the Japan #1 Dragon Ball Fighters guy, or maybe the world. Either way, he was way, way up there. So Goichi, man, I want to say it was Goichi. So anyway, this guy, he walks up to the announcer table and is like, yo, give me that mic. And they're like, hey, what's up? Here you go. What do you need? And then he says, because he doesn't speak English, I don't think, he said something like, Sonic Fox, I'm coming for you. Or something. It's just like, boom, just throw that gauntlet down. And I'm like, dude, that's badass. That's so on point that they want to challenge each other. That got me hyped. That match, I was like, I do want to see these two Titans clash. That's really fascinating.
So no, you're right. It probably was
Yes.
Goichi because the Goichi versus Sonic Fox saga went on for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
To where
that's cool.
Goichi would win at one tournament, Sonic Fox win at another one. It's been back and forth. I do think Sonic Fox now has the upper hand in
Yes,
Dragon Ball Fighters.
all the way towards the end, yes. I believe at the end, yes.
Yes, but so you talk about hype, like it's very interesting to where like the fighting game community has come a long way in that in terms of. I mean, I guess there was always like the throwdowns and like the shit talking,
Yes.
the popping off as they call it, to where. For again, those who don't know, popping off is when you win and you jump up and down and have a big celebration in general,
Yes.
right? It's always kind of been around there, and it's interesting to see there are some players who like that and some who don't. Sonic Fox is one that loves it. He thrives in the trash talk and he loves it. And the good part about him is that while he loves the trash talking, he can take it too.
Right, right.
He can definitely take anything that's thrown at him. And this is it may sound a little weird, but I'm willing to bet part of it is being a black gay furry as he identifies, right? I'm sure he's gotten the gamut of whatever being called something across however many years.
Okay, I want to clarify. So these two shall remain nameless, but anyone who's been following will know who I'm referring to. So there's these two guys and they're going to fight. And it's like, okay, cool. Let's get ready. It's going to be a great fight, right? But prior to the fight, one of the guys starts insulting the other guy's religion. And I'm just
Boy.
oh, I guess you already know.
Of course, this can be a whole separate podcast topic, but go ahead, keep going. That for later.
See, but what I'm getting at is, for me, that was just a turn off. I get it. You want to talk your shit, of course. You want the fight to sell tickets, all that good stuff. But bro, you don't need to be insulting someone's religion. So having said that, the Goichi thing, oh, that was just a cool moment. Like I wasn't watching that broadcast live, but those two announcer guys talking, and then Goichi comes up, I'd be like, oh, what is this? What's going on? You know? And then because I don't speak Japanese and I don't know Fist of the North Star, SonicFox had a reaction because later on people were like, dude, what are you gonna say to him? What are you gonna, what's your response to this? And I forgot the actual line, but it was something that a character, I believe in Fist of the North Star says, and it's something like, I will kill you 1,000 times, something crazy like that.
Yeah. I
But,
remember this.
and he says it in Japanese, and I'm like, oh, there's no religion bashing or family threatening crap, like that was just fun for me. I really enjoyed that hype, and that's like night and day difference. I really enjoyed all of that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I believe, and I guess I'm not as initiated with some of the other esports communities. I mean, not to say that I'm in the FGC. I'm garbage at fighting games, but I do find them entertaining compared to other esports. I guess I can associate that more to myself personally, but to me, it seems like the fighting game community, with some exceptions, there's some guys that can't take the trash, but for the most part, that is part of the FGC. Exactly what you're describing. The ability to challenge and throw the comebacks and have those arch rivalries to some degree, but still a lot of respect for each other despite that.
Yes. No, I totally agree. Okay, something else. So I wanted to mention this. Okay, so a long time ago, maybe not that long ago, I saw something with Lady Gaga in it. And I thought, I don't know who that is, whatever. And, oh, that song is by quote unquote Lady Gaga. Okay, that's cool. And then I saw some kind of thing like on the news, they're covering something she did. She's literally wearing a meat dress. It's really
weird.
weird.
A while ago, yeah.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
And then there was also the traveling around in an egg thing.
Yeah.
All of these things are kind of what the fuck moments, like what am I watching and what's happening kind of things. So here's the thing about that. One, obviously it got her free coverage. Good job. You're on the news. I don't know you, but now I do because they're covering you. Cool, And then two, sometime later, more recently, I was looking at like a Time magazine cover or something, and there's a blonde woman on the cover. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I like Time magazine. Who's this? So I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, I still don't know who that is. And then on the side it says Lady Gaga or something like that. I'm like, oh, this is Lady Gaga not wearing weird stuff. Meat dress or whatever other crazy things. And then it dawned on me now, so I don't know which order our listeners will hear what we're saying, but there's something I referenced in a different podcast with the words the engine. So the engine essentially is like, say I wanted to be a pop star right now. So then there'd be a guy who is what I'm calling the engine, and he'd be like, all right, Alvin, you got to dress like this. You gotta cut your hair like this, and then you dance like this on stage. There's a look to it, there's a sound to it. It's super manufactured.
Dude,
and
what was that? What was that fucking super creepy dude from the '90s? Like the guy who was the producer for like the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC.
I can't name him, but yes, exactly,
yeah, like that. Like that guy was the engine. Like, you guys want to be famous? That you guys want to be famous? Boom, do this. And he was like old and creepy and shit. Like, anyway,
I don't remember if it was creepy, but I do remember him being older.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay. So the reason why I mention all that is whoever that guy is was also the engine for Lady Gaga, I believe. Because I think on day one, she was like, yo, I sing great. Let's do this. And someone else said, whoa. You are female and blonde and white. There are many of you out there. I need you to wear a meat dress. Like, what? You put on meat, you'll be famous. You're going to do it. That's what we're doing. And then that's how it worked. Riding around in an egg, what the hell is that? But that's her thing. She's famous for that. Anyway, super roundabout. You know what? I don't think anyone in the FGC has the engine working, which is kind of nice because that means we just focus on the games, which is cool. And I'm not saying SonicFox does. But what I am saying is if someone were to create the engine for someone else, I could see that. Here's what you wear at every tournament. Here's what you say on Twitter, all that good stuff. Now, the reason why SonicFox is so damn cool is I don't believe there is an engine. I think he's just being himself. And that's pretty damn cool. That's amazing, actually.
So there was a interview done by Kotaku that to where SonicFox himself, they asked him about the whole furry thing, they asked him about his, is that something that came before, after, and he 100% talks about how he felt the inkling that he could have been a furry far before being famous. I was talking about when it was like 10 or 11 or 12 or something like
Ah,
that.
yes,
He
yes,
found a
yes,
fascination with that from a young age, and
yes.
didn't wasn't I mean, he wasn't able to dress up so much because he couldn't afford the costumes and stuff at that age, right? Or the pieces of
Sure,
of
sure.
what to wear. But 100% he talks about, this is not me trying to, if I do this I'll get a lot of attention. This is just me. I am
That's
this, you know.
that's cool. Yeah, yeah.
Once again, he embodies three crazy minorities, as he says: black, gay, furry, which he's the 1% of the 1% of the 1%
Yes.
basic of in the world type thing. Like there's that is such a small sect of everyone, but that's him. He's the 0.0001, right? But if you take all those things separately, you know, again, he's black, there's a lot of black people. He's gay, there's a lot of gay people. He's furry, there's probably not a lot of furry people as there are black people or gay people, but you know what I mean? Like
I
they're
do know. Yeah, I know what
yeah,
you mean.
right?
Yeah.
But when you combine all the black people, all the gay people, all the furry people, that's a lot of people, right? And for all of those people, he is a crazy inspiration. And that is what, to me, is the most important part of this story, is that there's someone out there who can be a role model for so many different people who would, you know, alone would just be, oh, I'm just a minority. I'm a minority. I'm a minority. But when you put all the minorities together, I don't. Well, honestly, they don't become the majority probably, but it
No,
still
I get what you're
becomes a
saying.
huge like driving force as a result.
Okay, I gotta say this. So I've heard this for multiple things. Like, let's say I'm watching the Olympics and I see a guy do 3 spins in the air, lands perfectly on his feet. The very common question is like, yo, what was that one moment like? How was that one moment? That was crazy. Good for you, that one moment. And this guy and probably his coach and all his teammates would be like, motherfucker, he's been doing this for 20 years, man. Like, this guy has been practicing forever. You don't focus on this one moment. Okay. The reason why I mention all that is Justin Wong. I know Justin Wong's background slightly better than SonicFox's. So someone said, yo, you turn it up in these games. What's up with this? Are you superhuman? Blah, blah, blah. And I remember Justin Wong said, you know, in middle school, I used to play some Street Fighter or whatever, and I was doing pretty good. Again, middle schooler, and I was beating these adults, and it was ridiculous. And I just enjoyed it, so I kept playing. And this thing blew my mind. Wherever he was, there was no tournament, but there was a tournament if you caught like the 7 p.m. bus to go 2 hours out that way or whatever. So in middle school, Justin Wong was catching that bus to some far ass place to beat those guys, to come back home, and then I think still go to school the next day. Now that's some serious, serious drive. That's not common in a middle school. Honestly, that's not common at any age. I don't know too many people who compete at that level. That's amazing. I say all that because I don't know SonicFox's background. All I know is he plays a whole lot of games. And for him to be this monster at this age, I have to assume at middle school it was on already. I don't know, but that's pretty amazing too when I think about it.
I don't remember the entire interview, the one I'm referencing, but I do remember him talking about starting at a really young age and entering in tournaments. I'm pretty sure that it wasn't to where he had to catch the bus by himself to these tournaments, because let's be real, it's like the 2000s now. Justin Wong was doing that when kids could do that and get away with it. Nowadays, like, where's your parents? What are you doing? Oh, are you alone now? You have bad parents or something like that. You know, I'd
get
say
you.
that in
I get
jest,
you.
but you know, nowadays, I think you can't get away with that kind of thing.
Right.
But
right.
he did talk about starting at a very young age and entering tournaments and being competitive and practicing and loving it and playing it.
Ah, okay. See, I totally believe that. Actually, now that you mentioned that, I got to branch off on this. So I am not good at Street Fighter. Having said that,
Bullshit.
I believe. Okay, see, thank you. I was going to say, I believe in my crew, I am the best, which I don't know. I guess that's cool, but whatever. So anyway, the reason why I mention it is I was at my friend's house. I'm just gonna call him Genghis. So I was like, his house, and then he says, "Dude, I got the new Street Fighter. Do you want to play?" And I'm like, "Oh, I guess, yeah, let's play." And he's like, "No, not against me." I'm like, "What do you mean not against you?" He's like, "I want you to play online." So I'm like, "Oh, okay, I don't know, whatever, we'll try it." So I picked Ken because why not? It was either Ken or Ryu. I think it was Ken. I'm gonna not break down why you choose Ken over Ryu or Ryu over Ken. That is not something the average person wants to hear.
Stop. There may be those
Okay.
that hate on you because the traditional pronunciation is Ryu, right? Even though we grew
Dude.
up our whole lives saying Ryu, it's Ryu.
Okay.
Just
It's
saying before you get hate.
It's
Saget.
Saget. It's Zangief. It's Ryu. Okay. But yes, I know. It's funny because I still say Shoryuken, but it still's Ryu. Okay.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Yeah.
So he's like, "All right, let's try this, man. Go ahead. Let's play against these guys." And it was funny because I'd never played that. I want to say it was Street Fighter 4. I never played it before. And then, so here's something obvious. All right, if someone attacks you high, like a jump kick, you block high. That's just how that works. So you're blocking the high attack. So the guy jumps up at me. He's coming at me, and I'm like, whatever, I'm just going to block it. So I block low, and then right before he kicks me in the face, I block high. But I don't block it. I get kicked in the face. And I'm like, what the fuck? So anyway, whatever. Probably me. Maybe I slipped. So again, he jumps on me, and I'm like, okay, time to block him. No problem. I get kicked in the face again. I'm like, son of a bitch. What the fuck? Like, this is, for a guy who has blocked many jump kicks, this is very frustrating. So I'm talking to my friend later. I'm like, oh my God, I get it. I've never played online before. So the lag is killing me. It takes like literally less than 1 second, but that's enough time that if you don't prepare for it, you get kicked in the face. So once I realized that, I started blocking extra early, aka it affected how I was playing. And then I thought, okay, I think I know what to do, blah, blah, blah. And then I told him, like, I'm actually not a Ken player, but whatever. And he goes, "Oh, who do you play?" And I'm like, "Oh, I play Cammy." He's like, "Okay." So he puts in Cammy, and I'm like, all right. And I just start fucking mauling these guys. But anyway, I have to say that because it's so frustrating and so relieving to just destroy them. But moving on, a long time ago, I think it's better now, lag was absolutely a real thing. There are moves that are considered unbeatable or unreactable because of the lag time. So I think it was Birdie in the recent game. He can jump on you and throw you. And it's so fast that in a normal situation, you can just react. You block high, jump, whatever. Not block high, but you can jump, you can react. But online, that 2 frames or 3 frames of lag, you just get owned over and over. It's like a free damaging move. It's total bullshit. No one buys into that. And the reason why I mention all that is, again, my experience with being online was, no, this is bad. It's teaching me bad habits. I'm blocking early instead of plotting my next move, etc. This is bad. However, what I grew up in was the arcades. If you want to challenge someone, yo, meet me at the arcade. All right, I'm down. Let's do this. We spend a couple hours there practicing, playing, whatever. Now that's not the case. Now it's, what's your gamer tag? Oh, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, I'll meet you tonight online. You don't have to leave the house. You can just practice. Now, on that note, SonicFox is a pretty young dude. I don't actually know how much arcade time he actually has logged because he could, in theory, just log a whole shit ton of online time, which for instance, I know Daigo has. I think initially Daigo was against it, but then he was talking to someone and they said, dude, just play online. So you can log 20 hours a day, really. You don't have to even leave the house. You don't even have to brush your teeth. By the way, everybody, please brush your teeth. It's just good hygiene.
we don't encourage not leaving your house for 20 hours and not brushing your teeth. Just PSA for everyone out there.
Nice. But yeah, so again, who knows what he grew up in? And it would be interesting, actually, to know that if that's how he did it. Because I've also heard the opposite. I know players who do extremely well online that when they go to a tournament, quote unquote, real tournament, it's actually kind of a problem for them because they're not used to the timing and the pacing of it. I absolutely know that for Overwatch. The way Overwatch goes is you can't play it on next to someone else. It just doesn't work like that. It's all online 1,000,000%, except for a LAN tournament. That's a known thing. But aside from the pros, no one I know plays LAN ever.
Interesting. So but one would imagine that there are probably frame differences between a LAN tournament and an online one.
Yes, unfortunately, yes. One of my favorite players, what you do is when the super comes flying at you like a big fireball, you catch it, quote unquote. So you nullify it. And then I remember watching one of his streams, or maybe it was a YouTube video, but he was like, I missed it. I would have got that on LAN because I heard her say the blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, I know that
Interesting.
feeling.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So so I see your digression there. So I wonder, for these guys that you compare someone like Daigo to SonicFox. Daigo, for those that don't know, is more like an older time fighting game player who came up through the arcades initially, and he was famous in the very beginning when fighting games are kind of getting bigger.
Yes.
Sonic Fox, being 20 now, came up in the recent time to where online was more of a thing. So I wonder if there has become a difference to where, and I'm sure there is if you think about it, right? These pros more than likely probably know the difference between an online match versus a LAN or an Overwatch case or a face-to-face match,
Right.
in terms of what to look for, how to block, or how to change your strategy.
Right. No,
Which
okay.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So you bring up something else, especially with new versus old. Okay, so a long time ago, the only way to play Street Fighter was in the arcade. That's just how it was. You play with a stick and some buttons. It's a joystick. That's just how it was. That's the only way. Then there were home consoles that could handle those games. So here's the perfect example for me, at least. In Street Fighter, I don't even notice. I can play both, no problem. Actually, I can play Marvel superheroes on a keyboard. Like ASDF, I can play it on that.
Yeah.
Combo it.
How would
I'm
you
that
be
guy.
doing that? Why would you ever do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on. So the reason why I mentioned that is MVC2, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. That was my game. Many people consider me a Street Fighter player, but I consider myself an MVC2 player. So anyway, the reason why I mentioned that is that was definitely the time when arcades were still prevalent and joysticks were a thing. The flip side of that is I never owned that joystick at those times. So I had a Dreamcast, I had MVC2, and I played on pad. Now this is a weird thing, okay? So I have to talk about Magic the Gathering for a bit.
Wait.
So Magic, okay, what's up?
You're gonna go. Okay, I don't know where this is going, but this is crazy.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's like Inception, all right? This is a tangent in a tangent in a tangent.
For those listening, try to keep up here. We went from Street Fighter 2 to Dreamcast. Now we're gonna go to Magic the Gathering and bring it all back. Okay, ready, go.
Yes, I will. Okay. So in Magic, there's always the old timers. That's how it is. In the old days, like damage works this way, combat works that way, blah blah blah. But things change. Everything changes. Now in Magic, they have something called Friday Night Magic. I don't know how friendly it is, but the impression is it is friendly. If you know nothing, come to this store and play on a Friday night. There's gonna be cool guys. They're gonna help you. And like, oh my God, that's amazing. The reason why I mention all that is Street Fighter is not like that at all. Like at all. If you don't know, shut the fuck up and get owned. You deserve to get owned because you don't know. I'm like, yeah, I'm not cool with any of that, but that's how it was. Doesn't matter if you're a kid either. Or sometimes they're nice to kids, but not really. So one of those things was playing on pad. So if you played like a PlayStation controller, R1, R2, and like a D-pad, all of that, hell no, you're a loser. You can't play on a stick. You suck. So that was really frustrating. And the reason why I mentioned, again, all of that is I used to challenge my friends. They were quite good. And they would play on joystick and I'll play on pad. And it was great. It was great times. We had great matches and it was all good. But the elitist point of view never went away. Not with my boys, of course, because they wouldn't be like that, but with other people. And when I think old school versus new school, that's one of those things. And it's interesting because the fighting game community, it's known for elitism, and all that does is kill the scene. And I've actually read articles on it, and it's just makes it worse. When a new Street Fighter comes out, the guys from the previous generation say, "Man, this sucks. You know what we need? We need this from the other game." And what does that do to a new person? That is completely the opposite of Friday Night Magic. Someone just comes in and hears people bitching the whole time. Nothing good comes of that.
I feel like.
And okay, sorry.
No. Go.
Anyway,
okay, keep going. Go. Keep going.
Okay. So
I'm not gonna stand in front of the train now. Like, fucking stand in front, get run over. Whatever.
Okay. The elitism I always found interesting because in the case of Magic, Mark Rosewater designs the cards and he's like head designer, and he says like, "All right, guys, stop being dicks. I know you like these cards, but we make these other cards that quote unquote suck because new people like them. Just chill, please. You don't have to play the new cards. Just let the noobs play with it and then just relax, because the noobs will grow and they'll learn and you foster the culture and it's really good." On that note, I don't own a lot of Magic cards. Actually, I own close to none. But I've been to some of those things.
Seems to know a lot about the game for someone who owns
Yes,
none of them.
I can't. I have many things to say about that, but that's another time. So anyway, I've encountered this, which was amazing, amazing. So my friend is playing, and I'm there because we're chilling. And then some other guy starts asking me questions, and I'm like, "Well, I know stuff, but I don't own stuff. Well, I don't know." And he says, "Hey, man, I'm gonna give you lands. I can just hand you name any land type. I'll just hand you like 30 lands right now. You could make a deck." I'm like, "Holy shit! Holy shit! That culture is amazing, fucking amazing." Because in all kinds of other places, like, "Ah, you noob, you don't know shit. Go fuck yourself." And that's very much how it is. And all I could think was, this is how you kill a scene. That kind of terrible attitude is how you kill a scene. Okay. Anyway.
See, that's interesting you mentioned that though, because I feel like, yes, you're right. There are pockets of the fighting game community that had that elitist type attitude, but I feel like in many hobbyist, as we'll call it, communities, that exists.
Ooh, unfortunately.
I think so.
Yes.
I still like to believe that the fighting game community is a very welcoming community in general.
Ooh, oh,
As opposed,
man.
no, pump the brakes, pump the brakes.
Okay.
Like the competitive fighting game community as we know it, in terms of people that, I hate to say it like this because I don't want to segregate too much, but people that go to like tournaments or do that kind of thing to where it's more like public, as opposed to what you're talking about. Is it when we go to the arcade as kids and the next guy up just really wants to beat your ass no matter what? Like, they're not there to teach you anything. But those are just guys in the arcade. I don't know. I mean, maybe you consider that part of the community. Maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, okay, before internet forums, for me, that was the community.
Yeah.
The random a-holes at the play. Yeah, that's totally normal. That's what I grew up with. But with online communities now, considering their size, okay, so here's a great example. Overwatch is known for its toxicity. I love it. I try to be positive. I think that's why I make friends easily in that game. But it's known for its toxicity. Someone pointed this out, which is true. People go onto the forums and they just complain nonstop. And then someone else said, "You know what? There are a lot of complainers on the forums, but that's the forums, That's not the average player at all. Like, who knows what percentage of the base actually hits the forums? I know it's not 100%. I'm sure it's not. So that's a good point. The people I encountered, absolutely the people that I encountered. I cannot say the same for everyone online. I'm sure it gets better somewhere. But you know what? That's a hard call because I used to be on shuriken.com. In the beginning, it was actually quite nice. After a while, I don't know, not as nice. Touchy. But then again, I was kind of already falling out of the scene. So that's a hard call too.
Shoryuken.com, for those that don't know, is a prominent fighting game forum site that's been around like forever.
Yes. I don't even know how well they do now. I go somewhere else now for my news, so I hope they're doing good. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I wonder what. So you mentioned like the forums and stuff like that. I feel like that's akin to like any other like public place where anyone can just throw trash on it. The same can be said about like Twitter and Facebook to some degree, to where there's just a bunch of garbage on it half the time, to random people that want to complain just to complain. I might need some help here, either from you or from online comments, but I feel like in general the fighting game community is personified by people like SonicFox, people like Daigo, people like Justin Wong, who are full of positivity.
Ooh, okay.
Now SonicFox, trash talker, but still full of positivity. Like it's within, it's competitive trash talk, not trying to like, as you had mentioned before, not trying to like criticize someone's religion before they fight, that kind of thing.
Yes. Totally different animal. Yes.
Totally different animal, right? So we'll use that exact example, in fact. So fighting game community is guys that play games to where your character is beating the crap out of another character, right?
Yes.
And in general, the role models of the fighting game community are very positive. They're very supportive of each other. One of them identifies as gay, black, furry, and represents and positive to all those communities. Whereas the situation you had described, which we'll still leave unnamed, but I'm sure everyone knows what we're talking about. That community's role models like to insult other guys' religion
Ooh, okay,
and throw shit at buses and
yes.
and take your pick. Maybe that's just one guy, but you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. Okay, you know what? I won't go there. I'll go the positive route. So there's a guy who I do not remember who it was. I want to say it was Fudo. So it's Fuudo. So anyway, Fudo is a beast. He does extremely well in Street Fighter V and probably other games. I don't follow him that much. But I saw a quote unquote documentary on him. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So one of those things is, yo, how much do you play? What do you do? How do you practice? Blah, blah, blah. So he says, I was practicing at home or whatever, maybe. And then I decided to make Arcade X, arcade whatever. I decided to make that my home. And I'm sitting there like, I wonder what that means. So he says, I told myself I'm going to be there every Monday, or maybe it was every day, probably every day. But he said, I'm going to be there consistently from whatever time to whatever time. So essentially, this prominent big name player, maybe even before he was big, but he told himself, I'm going to be there over and over and over again, which is a weird thing. It doesn't really mean anything. That's just one guy going to a place, whatever. But then word got out after a while. If you were interested at all in playing this game and you wanted top quality opponents, your man right there, man, he's there. And I can tell you his schedule. He will be there.
Interesting.
So it's crazy because once he essentially made that announcement, that arcade blew up. It's ridiculous. People started going there, to see him, to ask him questions, to challenge him and learn. Fucking amazing. That is amazing. And of course, he's all humble and nice about it. As he grew, everyone else around him grew also. Love that. I think it was Fudo. I want to say it was Fudo. Yeah.
I don't remember the exact story, but yes, that does sound familiar.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. I mean, I think that it's a very unique cross section of video games. As nowadays video games are becoming super popular. With like Fortnite and everything like that becoming mainstream. Minecraft before that. So it's very interesting to see the different aspects of the video game world and how it's represented.
Okay. Mm-hmm. See, now you have an interesting point. Now, this never applied to me because I'm an awkward guy. Okay, anyway. So this is what I've heard before. So Hawaiian Brian's was the Oahu spot. I don't know if it still is. I don't know if we even have one.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But anyway, that was the spot. So I'd go there. Of course, I know the guys. I play video games. I know them. They know me, blah, blah, blah. But long after I was gone, this became a thing, which I did not think about until I just thought about it now with the Fudo video.
Did not think about until I just thought about it. Okay.
Yes, only now, but not back then. See, back then it was just whatever. I'm here to game. See ya. So anyway, the Fudo thing was, I'm going to be at place X. Just come fight me. Come talk to me. Let's have fun. Whatever you want. Blah, blah, blah. And then in the documentary, there's guys in the arcade. That's what they're doing. But then there's guys eating dinner together. That's trippy to me, but that's so communal. It's so nice.
What do you mean? Wait, what do you mean? Like guys go there to meet him and then they end up eating dinner together?
Yeah, because fuck, you see each other every day.
Okay, yeah.
Like the friendship thing, the friendships and the bonding. Yeah. So I never had that. Okay, moving on. Good for him. So that's cool. But see, what I'm saying. Okay. What I'm saying is it transcends the games, and that is badass. It's not just, hey, you who knows stuff about video games, teach me. It's also, Brad, you want to eat after this? Let's talk about that cool match or whatever. That's so awesome.
I would like to argue that you weren't going there to meet people. You were just going there to play. I mean, you end up meeting people because you see the same people there, but you wouldn't, in that atmosphere, you wouldn't go trying to make friends. Those are just the guys you see at the arcade, and back then that was a thing. The guys you would just see at the arcade. But in the Fudo situation, he's going specifically inviting people in. I'm gonna be there. Come talk to me, please. He's already opening the door for that personal interaction.
That's true. That is true. Well, I mean, okay. The flip side of this too, and this just speaks to his caliber. I know if I went up to an arcade and be like, yo, come talk to me, people would be like, who the fuck are you? See?
Well, I mean,
tournament winner. I mean, that'd be like Daigo, or something. Actually, I think he's buddies with Daigo. But yeah, like that is crazy. I guess that'd be like Tiger Woods saying, "Yo, I'm gonna hit the driving range every Monday at 7. If you feel like showing up, show up." Dude, that shit would explode. That'd be ridiculous. You
I
know,
was gonna
so
say I don't think you were a famous fighting game player back then either. I mean,
no, I'm just a dude.
it's
Correct.
just a
Correct.
dude.
So that changes it. Yes.
To quantify for the audience, I can't remember a time when I beat Alvin at a fighting game. Like we used to
Oh,
play all the time. I can't recall a time when I beat him. So that's how good he actually is.
you know,
So
I don't remember our matches per se, but I do remember this. We were playing either Alpha 1 or Alpha 2, probably 2. We're playing Alpha 2. You picked Ryu and I picked Nash because there's no Guile. So anyway, we're just playing normally, and then I think I beat you that match or whatever, but I remember you saying, "Dude, I have never encountered such an aggressive Guile guy ever," and I just laughed. So the whole point about Nash and Guile is you have to charge back, which is holding back, which is backing away from your opponent. But the way I play, I'm all up in your ass the whole time, which I never thought about. I'm just playing. That's how I play. That's just how aggressive my Guile comes out. In this case, my Nash. And I remember you telling me like, "Holy shit, man! I've never encountered that." And that was just a fun moment for me.
it's
Yeah.
interesting. Well, I mean, it's the truth. Like, most players you see, or most players you play against in that kind of game, who play that character, play defensively. It's
Yes.
a lot slower of a game. And that's partially my fault in that I didn't react to the fact that you were playing faster because I was just playing the way I normally play. But I should have in that aspect tried to change. I'm just not that good to do that.
I get you. No shame there. That's all good. Okay, so back to Magic. I have a friend who I used to play with him, and then we didn't because I just don't play much Magic. But anyway, we used to play, and I would have to teach him stuff because it's like, okay, dude, you don't know this, so this is how this card works. Okay, these two things don't work. Let me explain it to you again, right? So anyway, a couple years later, he's just bodying me, and I remember thinking, wow, what a difference. Good for him. Slash, I'm kind of embarrassed. I should be winning. But then I thought about it because we've talked about what he does. So at his workplace, like every lunch, him and the boys, they just play Magic because why not? So then I thought about it, and I didn't appreciate how little Magic I was playing until I talked to my different friend who I'll call Blade. And I was telling Blade, like, a new set comes out every 4 months, maybe 6 months now. I don't know what the ratio is, but it takes a long time for a new set to come out. We would meet up, play the new set, good stuff. And the next time we meet up, new set already. Like, that's how rarely we were playing. There was no rematch or whatever. We're just playing for fun anyway. It doesn't really matter. So I was playing maybe one day every 4 months. That's what I was doing. My friend was playing, like 20 times per month. So this guy had literally 20 times the experience that I was having playing this particular set. And when I thought about it like that, I'm like, he should be bodying me. It's ridiculous. Like when you're playing and you have to ask what a card does, that means you're kind of behind. And I was. Anyway, the reason why I mention all that is my childhood is Street Fighter 2. Like, that's not entirely true. There's some other stuff in there, like school, I guess, or whatever. But like, like that was my background. I was the guy who played that game a lot. It was fun. I enjoyed it. So my friends, I have no idea how much you played or Genghis. I have to assume that you guys played less than that. So it's all good. That's just how it plays out,
I definitely didn't play as much as you. I tell you that right now.
Yes. So it was pretty ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that might be also why I had dickheads being dickheads. It was the little kid beating them up. But ho-hum, that's how they decided to deal with it. So
Interesting.
anyway.
Have you ever considered getting back into that? Getting back into playing fighting games? I mean,
Okay. So okay. On this note, I consider myself an MVC2 player. I gotta say that again. The reason why I mentioned that is there's a guy, and I can only compliment him here, so I'm just gonna use his name. His name is David. He's my friend's friend, and his name is David. So, okay, this is funny. My friend is like, all right, you know what, man, Alvin, I want you to play this guy. I'm like, okay. So we're at his house, and I'm like, okay, let's do this. So me and David, we sit next to each other. The screen's loading up. I turn to him. We shake hands. Exactly. Thank you. And my friend was like, guys, it's not evil. Just play. And I'm like, because both of us were like, yeah, let's do this. Like my Magneto is not perfect at all, but my Magneto is the best it will ever be. Like I cannot grow him more than I have grown him. That's how much time I've put into him. And I don't know if David can say the same for his guys, but whatever. So anyway, we're playing. It's the first game, and I remember I bodied him. I remember that. I remember I just smoked him, and it was funny because the cultural protocol is you lose, you get up and you move. And David's like, well, hold on. And I'm like, rematch? Fuck yeah, rematch. Let's do this. And we started playing some more. And he is an incredible player. I think he just wasn't ready for it. I threw at him at the first time. But the more we played, the more I thought, this is amazing. Fuck, this is amazing. You know, like the thing that I think of is Naruto and Sasuke. All right. Like two rivals. I don't know if they were ever even, but two rivals who grow each other. And that's what I had with David. It was amazing. We started sharing combos, insights, just styles. It's fucking great. And like, I don't even know what I'm doing to the degree I'm doing until I hear him say shit like this. Okay. So in MVC 2, there's multiple characters. So I'm attacking him. I'm doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. I attack his assist. He then goes under me, forcing me to fight backwards. I then continue the combo and I kill him. And he's like, what the fuck? You were backwards. What the fuck? And I just started laughing. I'm like, I was backwards. In that split second, I reoriented myself, recomboed him, and killed him. And we just, both of us were like, dude, that was ridiculous. I'm like, thank you. And that was just fun. That was fun for me. You know, he had a wicked Iron Man who I had not really encountered. Iron Man was common, just not for me.
Iron Man was not a high tier character in 2, was he? He was not, if I remember correctly. So it's pretty good if you could play Iron Man.
Exactly. If you can make Iron Man work, you're a beast. Correct. And he did.
Wow.
You know? Yeah, it was great. Oh my God. See, like this moment right here, fuck, it was amazing. Okay. So once again,
I love it when you get this excited. This is great.
Yes, it's awesome. Dude, it was so good. I think we recorded a couple of matches, but that was ages ago. And anyway.
What?
I know. Okay.
On
so anyway,
what?
like
with a phone?
Yeah, no, yeah.
You guys recorded with like a cell phone?
Yeah. Okay. Now the reason why I mention all that is David is like, he is the epitome of what I would look for. I would want to challenge him over and over again. I don't care if I lose. I hope I don't lose. You know, I want to challenge him over and over again. The reason why I mentioned that is there is no David now. None. Okay. All of my friends who used to play Street Fighter don't anymore. That's not literally true, but it's pretty damn true. And yeah, David, he's my friend's friend. We don't talk that much, but to my knowledge, he doesn't play anymore either. And it was a sad moment when I realized that, you know, like that whole era, that whole situation is gone. I will always hold on to those memories because that was badass and we had a great time, but that's not the same thing. Okay, I will say this because I feel this is the next question. So the next question in my mind is, have you played online on your own? So Capcom versus Tekken? No, Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken is what it's called, yeah.
Okay. So first of all, that game had a whole lot of hatred, which I do not believe was warranted at all. The reason why I mention it is my friend's friend had it and he hated it. So that guy says, I'm going to sell it back. And then me, think of it like a puppy. Dude, I'll buy it. Let me give that game a home. Don't put it in the pound. That's my reaction.
Poor video game. Don't give it back to GameStop the pound because GameStop's the fucking pound.
I have a lot to say about GameStop. Okay, moving on. So I got this game, and I want to say, I don't even remember the roster that well. I want to say this game had Sagat, who I consider my best. Sagat, as well as some other characters. I think I just played Sagat and Ken. So anyway, here's the fun thing, okay? All that shit that our listeners now know about me and you challenging, about me and David, how super competitive we were, okay? So I never played online on my own system. But I'm like, you know what? Let's just boot it up and see what happens. So I'm like, I'm going to try and play online. The game does not know. The game does not know how good I am or how bad I am. I have literally a 0-0-0 record. Literally 0. I could be a 5-year-old kid or I could be a grandmaster. The game has no idea. Okay.
When you first start, yes.
They know nothing because I don't even have this game. I just popped it in, that kind of shit. It knows nothing.
Yep.
All right. So I log in and I pick most likely Ken and Sagat and I practice. I learned some combos. I go in. I smoke that guy. I'm like, of course I did. They don't know what I'm doing. They put me against someone else. I smoked that guy too. I fucking smoke him. Okay. They still don't know what I'm doing. I know in in Overwatch we call it the matchmaker. I know the matchmaker is still trying to figure me out. They put me another guy. I smoked that guy too. And the funny thing is, he had his mic on. He's like, "That's fucking cheap, man." Fucking I just had to laugh because I was like, "I'm sorry, dude." He probably expected to be fighting other noobs. Okay, now 4 or 5 games in, the game is finally like figuring some shit out. And this, I swear to God, it could have been a fake name, but I swear to God, I was challenging someone named Cali Power. Do you know who that is?
No.
Okay, Cali Power is Alex Valle's handle.
No fucking way.
Yeah, I swear to God. I swear. What? Having said that, so in Overwatch, there's this really high level guy. His name is Seagull. There's another guy named Logic. Blah blah blah. I can make an account called Logic.
Yeah,
and
of
I
course.
can make yeah. So I can't say for sure that it was him. I cannot say that. Having said that, whatever, right? I'm just enjoying bodying people. Why not? So I challenge this guy, or more accurately, we get matched up. So what happens is, I don't even remember if I landed a few hits. Maybe I did, but he touches me once, and the combo lasts so long, I lose half life. And I'm like, wow, I have literally not seen any kind of combo like that ever. He touches me again, game. So it was really just 2 combos. And I just got fucking owned. I wasn't ready for any of it. I'm like, man, that was so cool. I don't know if that was a real Cali Power, but I hope it was, and that was awesome. So that was a really fun experience. And then I never saw him ever again because the matchmaker was like, "Oh, he's not ready for this," and then just put me with somebody else, and I never saw him again. And I think after that day, I was like, "Nah, I'm done. I'm done just logging in already." You know, because I don't like playing online. It was just something to do for fun, and I think someone gave me like an account or something, like, "Here, log in and play for 10 hours or some shit." Mm-hmm. So after that, I never did again. But that was trippy, and I hope that was really him because that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
So something I do want to say after all of that hype and all of that excitement about no, because you bring up a very good point, right? In that fighting games, unlike other types of games, unlike Overwatch, unlike Dota, unlike League of Legends, fighting games are actually more suited to, and I would even venture to say meant to be played with someone sitting next to you.
Ooh,
I'd like to say that is part of the experience. Mm-hmm. That is part of the visceral, I can't find the word for it right now, but it makes it really live.
Yes.
Because, again, I think if they could make perfect online matchmaking without lag, they would. But there's something to that, to where you're sitting next to someone playing, and like you described with David, really liking it, having that conversation, about it. And maybe to circle and bring things all the way back, and this is just an assertion, maybe that's why the fighting game community, to me, is that friendly or close or tight-knit, right? All of these guys are having that experience that you had with David.
Right.
On TV, on the internet, being filmed, right? All these guys are sitting next to the black gay furry, right? And getting killed by him, but having that fun conversation. I'm sure that we can't hear it on stream, but they're talking about, "Oh, that was a great combo. How'd you do that?" You know, they're having those type of interactions. And off camera, I'm sure that they're having the same kind of fun. And maybe that's what keeps them going back, is the fact that they play each other, but they have to look at each other and sit right next to each other or right across from each other while it's going on. As opposed to the games that are focused on online play, to where even in the esports arena, they sit on opposite sides of the stage with their team, all focused on computers, not really interacting with the other team.
Yes.
So maybe that is what allows it to be more friendly between the competitors.
No, I totally get that. I'd like to add something else. So I consider myself something of a perfectionist. This is definitely a good and definitely a bad thing sometimes. And the reason why I mention that is in Street Fighter or whatever fighting game, I sometimes I pull combos and people are like, "Wow, man, good, how'd you get that?" or blah blah blah. And I'd say, "Well, I practice it a lot. It's a perfectionist thing. I don't allow myself to get off the hook when I make a mistake. That's how I play." And the reason why I mention that is, so my friend, I'm gonna call him a rat. He'll understand why if I'm calling him Rat. So anyway, Rat, right? We were playing Injustice, and in Injustice there's Bane. So Bane has a super obvious move when he's
Bane being the Superman villain.
Yes. Oh, Batman villain.
Batman villain. Sorry, Batman
broke
villain.
the bat.
Batman villain.
Broke the bat. Yep, yep. So he's playing Bane, and I think I'm playing Batman. It doesn't really matter. So he does not know fighting games. He says he doesn't know it very well. So he's across the room, and then he runs at me. Like, it is the most obvious thing you can do. So I jump over it, and I just kind of tell him, like, dude, you can't use that from across the room. It's not going to catch me, blah, blah, blah. I remember playing with him and telling him these things. And then I told him, try comboing like this, mixing the grabs, do this, do that. So then a month or so later, a week, I don't know, sometime later, we're playing again. He does a combo on me. He throws me. He does like Half-Life. I'm like, dude, holy shit. He's like, yeah, I've been practicing. And then I say to him, and this is absolutely true for all fighting games, Bane did not level up. You leveled up. And it was just like, we had a moment of like, fuck, man, that's awesome. Because it wasn't the character. Like when I played Ryu, Daigo is also playing Ryu, same Ryu. I cannot begin to do what he does, but in that same sense, like my friend got better. He understood the mix-ups better. He understood spatial awareness. All of that stuff happened in his brain, not the character. Compare that to like Final Fantasy, which I love Final Fantasy. It's a different animal. You level up, you get a stronger spell. Your character changes. In fighting games, that doesn't happen. In theory, there's patches now. But anyway, my friend leveled, and I thought that was badass. And I think that's one of the things that makes it so amazing. A great example of that is I don't play Zangief. He's not weak at all. I've been schooled by Zangiefs. Having said that, when I lose to a Zangief, that guy puts some hours in because it's hard to win with Zangief. There's an instant level of respect. I understand how hard that is, and I applaud him. Just like my friend who was playing Bane with a linear, obvious way, then he started mixing it up with combos and stuff. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. That's you. Good job, man. That was the MVC2 moment with David. Like we understood the amount of work that would, like when you said Iron Man's not that good, correct. Iron Man was not that good. He made it work. And he was a fucking beast. That was so cool.
Once again, another example, right? To where it's someone you're playing against, your competitor at the time, yet you want to help them.
Yeah. So sometimes.
Was it okay? Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
I'm sure SonicFox, even him, just likes to talk trash and like just destroy people just because. Actually, I'm gonna add to this. He is also known for the teabag. Like he does it all the time. Apparently, for those that don't understand, a teabag is when in the fighting game you hit the down command a bunch of times to make your character like do a crouching motion as if they're essentially doing a teabag to somebody. And he's the master of it. So again, but it's still a friendly competition. Like he does it, and it's just like, oh well, yeah, he doesn't do it out of disrespect. He just does it because it's just him. It's his competitive spirit.
Chris, I gotta share this with you. So in Overwatch, I play some super aggressive characters sometimes, and there's an old woman in it. What she does is she sleeps her enemies, and you cannot get woken up unless your opponent hits you. So you're just frozen for a bit, and then bad things happen to your team while it's going down. Anyway, the reason why I mention it is I'll play my character. I'm attacking the quote-unquote old lady who has the sleeps. She puts me to sleep, and I'm down. So while you're down, it's kind of weird because you're asleep, but you can still see. While you're down, you're just frozen. And then my teammates will come in and maybe kill her because we're all, team versus team. My teammates will then teabag me. Yeah. I'm like, guys, we're on the same team. And they're just laughing and laughing. So there is like... We get that as buddies, it's just silly. So,
yeah. I mean, it's the same thing, right? It's basically the same thing as the SonicFox thing.
Yes.
Interesting. These games, the communities that surround them.
Yes.
All right, everyone. I hope you guys had a fun time getting the insights to our upbringing through the arcade culture, looking at the fighting game communities, and SonicFox. Thank you very much for listening to the How's It Cousins podcast, the show to where we take a look at the unique people of the world. We talk about them. We relate to them. We tell funny stories about playing video games as kids. And hopefully you guys can relate to that too. If you like this, you can catch it on all the popular podcast services. Take a look at our other episodes. If you like us, we're part of the How's It Network. You can check us out, howsitnetwork.com, if you want to see some of the other things we're doing. Make sure that you follow us on social media at How's It Network, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check out our social media pages.
And if you like that Alvin goodness, then you can also find me at alohalvin.com. It's a site for writers, but also I write like I speak. So if you enjoyed any of this, I'm sure you have a good time at my site.
Fantastic. And if you want to hear more from me, you can check me out on Twitter at How's It Chris. Hopefully there's some stuff up there by the time I'm not the best at Twitter, to be honest, but I got to get better at that. We want to thank you for lending us your ears. And just remember, it's not goodbye because we will see you later.